All right. And welcome, everyone. I think you guys can see us right now. And welcome to a new show here on ReformDAO. Let's start it off by giving a bit of an introduction, because obviously we launched as Reform quite a while ago already. And we have always said we're a market maker, but we have never told you what we do as a market maker for projects. And that's going to change right now. Because we have a new show here. And in this show, the show is hosted by me. Let's start there. My name is Paul. If you're listening or watching this and you don't know who I am yet, I'm the head of marketing. So I'll be hosting these shows probably on a weekly basis even. And in the shows, I'm joined by Jess, who is also a core contributor at Reform. He is very involved with the trading, the business development, and the market making side of the company. And every week we will be joined by another project on the show. And these projects are the projects where we, as ReformDAO, are responsible for the market making. So in this series, we want to dive into what these projects are doing, explain a little bit to you by the project who they are, what they do, what their project is all about. And then obviously we'll also talk a little bit about what we do as Reform as a market maker, and how we help these projects to become basically a little bit better day in, day out. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, I would say. So let's start it off today with a bang, we thought. And we brought the first project where we actually kickstarted the market making a while ago already. But let's start with a quick introduction, I guess, because we got the CEO of HelloLabs, who is the entertainment company responsible for the show Killerwhales, if I'm correct. But maybe you can do a better introduction than I can do for you, Sander. So please maybe go ahead and tell us who you are and what your role is within HelloLabs.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. And first of all, thank you for having us. We really appreciate talking to you guys about this. And I think with the things that Reform and the community is doing, there's really a lot of added value for us as a project. And we already noticed that. So really looking forward to expand a little bit on that in this session. So like a quick intro, I'm Sander. I'm the co-founder and CEO of HelloLabs. We originated our project back in 2021. And at that moment in time, there was a big gap, what we thought, in quality content production. So we launched with a gamify division, but quickly after that, early 2022, we said, if we really want to grow crypto and Web3, and we want to translate the culture into people's homes to make people aware of what crypto and the technology is all about, we need to step outside of our crypto Twitter and YouTube broadcasting boxes. So me and my partner, we went back to our roots, both originated in television production shows. And my partner still very deeply involved as the creative director of the MTV Video Music Awards, among else, Paul Pasman. And we said, okay, the only way that we can create a bigger podium for Web3 is by creating a television show that we offer to the streamers like Apple TV and Amazon Prime, and they distribute it to their hundreds of millions of viewers. And that was a very bold idea back in 2022. We're now 2025, and we are about to release the second season of the show called Killerwhales. And we're happy to be able to once again distribute that to major streamers like Apple TV and Amazon Prime, and reach about 700 million people globally with that show.
Wow, yeah, impressive. I mean,
working on mass adoption there, right?
Absolutely.
Contributing a lot.
Yeah,
exactly. Nice.
I guess the word dream chasers comes to mind a little bit, right? You envisioned it, you started working on it, and you realized it. So it's very interesting. But before we dive all into HelloLabs and Killerwhales, I'm also a bit curious, who is Sander? So like, what is your journey before HelloLabs? How long have you been in Web3? What did you do before that? What was the reason to shift from what you were doing to this? Maybe let's dive a little bit into the earlier years, I guess.
Okay. So like a quick intro, right, guys? So Sander Kurtjes, I'm a Dutchie, just as both of you. I'm 41 years young or old, depending on how you look at it, I guess. I feel young, but I guess a couple of people in this session will find me very old. All jokes aside, I started off in basically working at my parents' company back in 1999, we were working a lot for Dutch television, did a lot of television show production. I worked on the creative end and the project management end. I have a background in business economics, technology, and marketing. 2004, I started dabbling my feet in digital marketing. Back in the day, it was really easy to get a company or a keyword ranking really high, and it brought a lot of business. Got headhunted by an American company called Qualcomm. Qualcomm is NASDAQ stock noted, and they deliver 3G, 4G, 5G. That is their technology, and I set up their whole global digital lead generation division. Quit there. Started my own company, 2015, sold that in 2016 to an American company. And then in 2017, I was headhunted by a company that did a lot of marketing communications for tech companies in Europe. And they said, Sander, can you help us with digital lead generation and digital services development for these companies? And I said, that's cool, but I want to build this piece of software that allows us to track more leads on the web and have a higher conversion rate for our clients. And they said that is okay. So we did a 50-50 split, and I started hiring devs at the end of 2016. And when we were developing our plan, one of these devs said, hey, why don't we build this on the blockchain? I was like, on the blockchain? I said, on Bitcoin? And he was like, no, dude. Like, he was dissing me a lot. So he said, no, there's something new called Ethereum. We can do smart contracts and all of that stuff. So we said, okay, cool. Let's buy some ETH and start developing. Well, the company exploded, but the development route on Ethereum, we scrapped it after 4 months because it just wasn't working the way we intended it to be. But the company grew, kept hold of the ETH that we bought back then. And then in 2020, we sold that company and I started doing angel investments in the space. So was I in crypto in 2017? Yes. Did I understand it? Not at all. Not at all. I didn't buy my first Bitcoin up until like end of 2020. So
you were holding ETH, so that's a good thing, right?
I still had all these, so that was a good thing. That was a good thing, yeah. But in a sense that allowed me to educate myself about how the space was built, how DeFi was getting started, how these L2 theses were built up. And it allowed me to travel to all the different events and get an insight about, how does the industry actually work. And that helps us nowadays still understanding a little bit better, what are the trends, where is the market going, and what do we need. For the rest, Sam, I'm married to Wendy, I have a stepdaughter, I have a beautiful dog. Nowadays we live in Dubai. And we have a full focus on HelloLabs and Killerwhales.
Great intro. I mean, it's been quite a ride, I guess, starting 99 till now. But very interesting to hear that. I think it's always interesting to also know the person behind the company, right? I mean, we can talk all about HelloLabs, but knowing where you came from and what you did, I always feel is super interesting because it gives you a better understanding of. I guess the entire motivation around what HelloLabs became eventually. And you already mentioned the reason why you started, right? Lack of quality content in the industry. This was 2020, you said, right? 2021?
Yeah, 2021. We actually started out as a gamify project because we were like, there aren't like any really good games that are well marketed in the space. Like, you had back in the day, you had Gala and you had a couple of like simple games, and we basically built a very simple game, and we said let's test this, but let's do it differently than a lot of different projects back in the day. So we were doxxed from day one. We burned some of the old supply that we bought at the fair launch of the project. So yeah, we definitely played our cards differently because we believe like, okay, if we're going to build in this space, then let's do it the right way. So
yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, my follow-up question would have been indeed, what is the core business of HelloLabs? And obviously, it's content related, but I feel there's more to the story, as you already said. Is it purely content now? Is really the core business of HelloLabs Killerwhales, or is there more that you do as a company?
I definitely think that we've developed as a company. Well, we started out as a gamified company, and then said, okay, let's develop television IP. We spent a lot of time inventing ourselves. So the gamify was very clear that we were able to execute. We understood how we needed to get listings in, how to properly market a product. But you can imagine that after that end of the peak bull run in 2021, 2022 came and we saw a bear market coming. So we said, okay, we're not going to go back into the gaming development because we're not a gaming development studio, but we are really good at marketing. We are really good at creating high value content. And we have a VC angel background, so we understand where the space is going. So the original idea was, let's translate this into a television show, educate the people at home what is happening in the space and what innovation is being built, but also showing the right projects and not the rug pulls or the founders that are not that good, basically, or in it for the wrong reasons. And that is still 2023 when we signed on CoinMarketCap as a co-producer. We found a lot of resonance with a lot of big KOLs in the space that said, yes, this is what the space needs. But what that led to, and that is basically, a direct answer to your question, is that we got approached by so many different projects looking to use Killerwhales as a podium to demonstrate their project and the technology and what they're trying to build. But we also got approached by layer ones, the foundations, to help them to showcase their projects. We got approached by KOLs that wanted to get on national television, basically. We started working together with different incubators and accelerators, VC. So if you fast forward to today, what you see is, yes, the flagship product is still the television show, but we've developed a whole media arm around it where we create spaces, podcasts, YouTube interviews, where we basically show the people the same thing, only not on the grand scale as Killerwhales. So we don't fly people to Hollywood, we don't fly people to LA, but we do show people, okay, this is happening in the space. These are the interesting projects. These projects are launching. And just recently, we also announced that we have introduced an incubator. So we are looking to bring on about 20 to 25 projects a year that we really think are building great technology, are really promising, fit the narrative that we believe is going to be there in 6 to 12 months. And we have all the partners and KOLs behind us to support that in a meaningful way. So I think we're building more and more on our ability to predict the market, because the show is always produced 6 to 8 months before it airs. So we always need to be forward-looking in the projects that we're bringing on. We needed to do so for season 1. We needed to do so for this season that is launching in a couple of weeks. And we're looking to do that for the next years as well.
If I may ask just a question in between, I'm of course very much involved with the trading side, so always predicting, trying to predict it like that, like what's going to be the next big thing and the next big narrative, which is like the $1 million question or $1 billion question sometimes. It's like, how what kind of projects are now sort of like, in what niches are you now focused, if that's of course possible to to talk about already? What kind of niches can we expect, in the show?
Yeah, in the show, so for season 2, we said, okay, what we need to get in are meme coins.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, we decided this like in March 2023, right? Sorry, 2024, because we saw that this whole degenerate style was coming up. Meme coins were like one of the few elements in the Web3 space that people actually understand, that retail can understand. It's a community, everybody fits together. It's fun. Whereas in the previous bull run, there were a lot more of these narratives. Games, people understand that, metaverses, NFTs. We focused on meme coins. We focused on AR, VR, AI type of integrations. We started focusing on like infrastructure players around anything that has to do with either AI or security on chain. We have musicians and movie makers there that are creating these new type of solutions, but we also have like a lot of how do you call them, like customer-facing solutions. For example, we have a program there that is like it's like a booking.com, but then cheaper and better using the blockchain.
Exactly. Yeah. So some outliers that just want to change a specific niche that's already in the Web2 space, but want to evolve that by putting it on the Web3. Okay, sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's have a look, because you launched season 1, I think a year and a half ago, right? Something like that, or was it even longer ago?
I think we did a preview period around this time of year, but we launched it on Apple TV and Amazon Prime middle of March. So it's a little bit less than a year ago.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. And what was the exact moment where you guys figured like, okay, we need, because obviously there's a lot of shows with a similar concept already out there, right? Shark Tank, Dragon's Den, whatever. What was the moment that you guys with the team decided like, okay, this is the type of show that we want to create? Why the decision to go for a concept like this instead of something else?
Yeah, I think what is extremely important to understand is that if you're making television, different rules come into play than whenever we're doing a stream like this or making Twitter Space, right, or X Space. So not only you have a different type of viewer, viewers like to be entertained, right? You start watching a streamer if you want to see something that engages you. So it needs to be entertaining. It needs to be a little bit of informative. There needs to be quite some banter, not only potentially between a contestant and a whale, but also between the whales. And there also needs to be this element of like negotiation and discussion, right? So when we started out looking at, okay, what types of show do have all these elements, you quickly come to the idea of doing a Shark Tank, right? Because you have these negotiations between the contestant and the whale. You have really cool people and entertainers in the space that really can tell an entertaining story, but you still need to have the whales that are also then able to get the right sound bites from them. So we were really looking at this: how do we create an entertaining show that still educates and still informs, but that people actually want to watch? And that is actually pretty hard to do, because in the end, this is blockchain, this is technology, this is finance, this is like all these elements. But if you look at successful shows like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, they do have a very big audience, and we chose for this format. In the sense of the setup, not the way it is produced, but in the setup, that we quickly understood. A lot of people will understand this. Everybody that has seen Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, understands this show.
Yeah, they understand the format. Just out of curiosity, were there any other concepts that you were considering, like outside of the Shark Tank concept, or?
Yeah, we have played around with a couple of different concepts, and one of them we are still discussing. We did announce it back in the day, and there was a little bit more build on the old. I don't know if you guys still remember, but like the old MTV Cribs.
Okay, yeah.
So you can imagine, and we call it Crypto Cribs. So it would be like
pretty cool as well. Yeah.
So that is pretty cool. But the issue with that is that it these types of shows, they won't easily get picked up by Apple TV or Amazon Prime or Netflix. And our whole dream was, okay, how do we actually broadcast crypto and the culture to 500 million people, 1 billion people potentially even?
Yeah.
And this was by far the best idea. And we also see that in the feedback from the streamers, because they're like very enthusiastic about this show. Also because it's one of the very few pieces of content out there that actually explain and entertain around crypto and don't tell a demonized story.
It's actually the combination of the two, right? As you say, like explain and entertain, instead of, as you said, with the Crypto Cribs example, it's more like entertainment, right? You're not really, like explaining people. It's more like, showcasing big things, like how cool it is, because that's what, like MTV Cribs was all about, right? Showcasing like big houses, big cars, like cool cars, luxury, everything. But I think it's actually the right format, as you said. Really, really cool to hear like how that unfolded itself.
And another follow-up question on that side, Sander. I know you're quite big in PR marketing already, and you guys know exactly what you're doing. One of the things that I see a lot on Instagram Reels and on YouTube Shorts and on TikToks is these clips from the Shark Tank episodes, right? And there's always like super bullish things in there. I think there's this video at Shark Tank of the guy that did the doorbell with the camera, and they declined him, and then he came back as a shark himself, as a boss. He walked in. Like, the short form content you can create out of a show like this is insane. Are you guys doing this already? Because I haven't seen Killerwhales short form content, but that doesn't mean it's not there, maybe, but
yeah, for sure. I think what you will see is that these stories, they are being crafted by editors and people that understand how this works, right? And I think the cool thing about Shark Tank is that they have, I don't know, 22 seasons under that belt, so they have a lot of content, a lot of these like longer stories. But I agree that episode where this one guy comes in as now being a shark, it's epic. It's like the dream comes true, right? And especially the American dream, right? So yes, we do have like a lot of short content. We are also like heavily focusing on that in the marketing mix for season 2. We are populating our socials every day now with behind the scenes videos. We've had a VIP room with, for example, a lot of KOLs that were watching behind the scenes during the recording. So we're starting to share this type of content. But it's we are very happy to see also that there are quite some YouTubers that are actually commenting on the show. And if you look at the views that these people are getting, it's impressive. And sometimes people say, oh, well, he's very bullish or he's very bearish, or, but it doesn't matter. It's about that we're talking about the space, that we do see bad projects with good projects, that in the end, these people are building, sometimes they're funding this entire thing themselves. It translates the story of the industry. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to like say, hey, we're the biggest or the smallest, or, we also have these stories for projects that came on and they didn't have any money. And after the show, they raised tens of millions of dollars, right? Because of the network and the context and the stuff that they were building. But these are the great stories. But then in the end, it's always about, okay, how do we create that impression? And if you then would look at like numbers, right? So we did like a safe estimate based on the numbers that we're getting back from us partners and the KOLs and the whales and people like CoinMarketCap, that we had about 120 million social media impressions with season 1. And I bet that we're missing a lot of them. But in the end, we always want to make it bigger, better, and bolder. And that's
exactly
season 2.
So
that makes sense. I mean, one angle that we haven't discussed, and it's something you mentioned a little bit before in some way, and that got me thinking about this throughout this conversation so far. But one thing that I guess Shark Tank and Dragon's Den don't really have is obviously the amount of rugs and scams that we see in Web3, right? It's such a volatile and dangerous environment in that way still. And even if you're the best guy out there, everyone that was on that panel as a judge, for example, the whales, they have been involved in some way with a scam or a rug. Not intentionally, but they promoted it by accident, whatever. Like, how does that go from your side, right? Because I can imagine people get some sort of a weird view on these because they're like, oh, it's, I don't know, the scammers promoting the scammers, or like, oh, this project will fail for sure, whilst the guys are like, oh, no, this is good, you need to buy this, whatever. Like, is that something I can imagine you and the team are coping with to overcome? Because, yeah, it almost seems impossible to not have that.
The problem there, to be fair, the problem there is also that everyone can actually invest in those projects normally because they have a token or a coin available, right? And that's, I think, well, it's not per se the problem, it's also like the opportunity, of course, because if you look at the Shark Tank, that's purely for the people who actually invest in the equity, like the sharks who actually do that, or like some bigger investors. And here, it's open for everyone, which is I would say a good thing, and it could also be a bad thing, as you're referring to. But also happy to hear from you, Sander, like how you see this.
It's a very hard topic to touch on, but there are a lot of different sides to it. So let me try to dismantle some of that stuff and agree to some of that stuff. I think in this space, it's been a space that has been under heavy scrutiny and big developments throughout the history of crypto, right? And I think that hate them or love them, some of the whales will always have bystanders and a lot of antagonists, right? And I think what people need to understand is that in the end, this is also about entertainment, right? So it isn't, yes, the whales do give a sink or swim verdict, but they're not investing their money in it. they are not invested in the project. So all the whales give us like a full view of the projects that they're invested in, and we place them on a show on a project that they're not invested in any shape or form. They sign for that. The project signs for this as well. The other thing is they can't invest into these projects until like 6 months after the show is being aired. So so on that aspect, we're trying to like mitigate all the insider like trading, stuff that potentially could be there. It's also very important for our partners. A company like CoinMarketCap cannot be involved with people at rug pull or insider trading or whatever. But I think that if you look at this, the Web3 culture, there are so many different verticals. There are the people that are just coming in. There are the meme coin hunters, the NFT fanatics, the BTC maxis. You have, the educated traders. You have. So what we need to do is we need to represent everybody, and that means that yes, we have Mario Naval on there. Yeah. Yes, he's there. 8-11. There's going to be an epic moment in season 2 for people that hate him. That's going to be an epic moment for the people that love him. But we also have Altcoin 80. These guys have been building like YouTube video content throughout the last 7 or 8 years on a daily basis. Guys, this is commitment, right? So these guys are like inside out. We have the CEO of a very big exchange, BitGet. I believe it's a top 6 or top 7 exchange by now. We have the co-founder and CEO of Hacken. They do, I don't know how many audits. They are deeply involved in technology and number 2 security auditing firm. I believe they employ like 400 people. We have people like Crypto NDO, who's big on TikTok. In season 1, we had K-Money. We have Anthony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital and the ex-communications director under Trump in his first term on the White House. So yes, we have somebody from the NFT space. So we have basically anybody on the show, and the fact that they are on there, and the fact that they also battle each other and they call each other out on their reacts, it's entertainment, right? So, and that's what we need. We need to put the space in a daylight where people actually have that discussion, where they actually ask the questions that need to be asked, and also say to each other, hey, we need to act in a way that represents the space. And I think that if you watch season 1, you can see that banter. But then if you look at season 2, the way they interact, and you see that they have all grown, that they are all like educated. They understand what the viewer needs. So it's really going to be exciting what people think about season 2 versus season 1.
Nice, man. Really excited actually for now you've been explaining it so thoroughly. It actually makes me very bullish on the series as a whole. Just very. I don't know. As you said, there are so many groups in crypto. Like as you say, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's already one thing, and then it's just very, very. Especially if you're very much involved in the space, and to see all this, I would say emotion almost coming out, especially with those kind of shows. I think that's really it's an art almost. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I think for season 3 they need to have a market maker on the panel as well.
Nice. If you just take a few steps back, we can look at how it looks like when you're sitting in the seats, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we fit nicely.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. No, I mean, and the reason why I ask is obviously I think it's actually great to hear that you're doing so much already around this topic, right? Because the fact that they can't invest in X amount of months and stuff, I think that's also very important to state that and bring that out to the world, so people understand, like, hey, we're taking the precautions there, because I think that's the best thing you can do in this industry, because people will always have a feeling like, oh, there's a scam or a rug or whatever part of this. But by doing that, you can at least show them, like, guys, we make sure that from our side that's covered. And Web3 is different than Web2. You have to take, you have your own responsibility. And there's not a bank in between that can get your money back if things go wrong. So you got to make decisions yourself. And that's obviously different ball game. But enough about that topic, because I think it's very interesting you do this because you want to protect not only the projects that come to your show, but I guess also your own token, because you guys have the Hello token. Maybe you can give us a bit of an introduction about, what is the token about? So what is the utility? What is the feature of the token? Why is the token there? What's the,
The token originated back in October 2021 when we did a fair launch. So we don't have VCs on a cap table. We don't have investors on a cap table. We basically paid for an own LP and we launched the token back in the day as a gaming token, right? So the token was only there. You could buy a couple of tokens, you could play the game, and if you would win, you would double or triple your tokens, right? So that was the thesis on which we launched the token. Developing over time, we're using the token for a lot more, right? So, for example, you can use the token on our own streaming platform called Hello TV. That is a platform where you can watch all of these episodes as the first. You will have the premieres there. You can be the first one that watches these episodes and gets the information from the projects, et cetera, et cetera. We've continued to develop the GameFi ecosystem. So we have 2 different games right now that people use the token to play the games or buy some upgrades or buy NFTs or get better powers of your Doge Dash is what it's called. It's a dog. Your character can improve. So GameFi, you can watch the television show. And just recently, we announced a whole DeFi and let's say a Launchpad trading platform based on Killerwhales show. So what we are close to revealing is something that we call Hello Club. Hello Club is basically our way of saying, okay, lock your tokens or stake your tokens in returns for access to some of this content, access to information about projects that will be coming onto the show, but we also be feeding projects onto our own Launchpad. We are about to release something that is called Killerwhales Live. And Killerwhales Live is basically the television show, but then put on YouTube and a streaming platform like Discord or Twitter. It basically functions as a launchpad. So if you have more Hello tokens, you stake more, you get bigger discounts or a bigger allocation. So that's coming within the next 2 months. Besides that, we've been building a solution where we would allow DeFi solutions for projects that are actually launching on the Launchpad or coming on the show. So they can create their LPs, they can create their locking and staking mechanisms, but we also allow people to trade. And that is like the final stage is where for this roadmap release that we released right now is where we're saying, okay, we have a show with this reach. We're trying to make crypto easy for everyone, but we don't really offer an onboarding. Why don't we have the Hello app where you basically can preview the show, you can read all about the information about the projects, you can read all about the interesting projects that we see, but you can actually trade them, swap them, stake something, maybe do a little bit of a prediction market in there, and just gradually start understanding how this space works and really get on board. So we've put a lot of effort on token utility in the last 6 months. And I'm happy to confirm that a lot of these developments are on track and or about to be released.
Wow, impressive. Long list indeed, yeah, but very bullish. It was a lot. Let's maybe quickly, because you launched the token around 2 years ago, you said, right?
Yeah, more than 3 years ago.
Yeah. So on what exchanges is the token live right now?
At this moment in time, it's available on MEXC, Gate, BitGet, Bitmart, and a couple of other ones that aren't directly on my view right now. But of course, you can swap it on Uniswap or PancakeSwap or any type of DEX. And we've chosen for this route because we think, we're covering like a lot of ground on this. And it is also the momentum that we were able to achieve with the token. We are always in conversations with other exchanges, but yeah, that is something that we're always actively working on. And the last thing that we also implemented is if you would go to the website, it's pretty easy with one of the swapping tools that we've integrated into the website to just swipe your credit card and buy some Hello tokens.
Nice, smart. I like that a lot. I mean, is there any chance for some alpha base listing, Binance listing? Is there anything coming with season 2, or am I grabbing straws?
We are always cooking. But you guys know better than everybody else. This is something that you can never talk about. If you talk about it,
I always get the question.
Yeah, but you can never talk about it because it's like the first 10 rules in the contract. Right?
Yeah,
like an NDA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
one thing I want to dive into, because I think that's actually really smart that you guys did that. Is actually the Launchpad, because now you're indeed providing, an entertainment platform where new projects are coming in, where actually the whales are going to say like, yo, or the killer whales are going to say like, yo, am I going to sink or swim them? People have a whole page of information, so yeah, they actually can make very delicate decisions on which they want to invest in and which they do not. Is that also because you mentioned the Launchpad, but is that really something that people then can, for example, invest in like a public round or private rounds, let's put it like that? Is that something that's coming up in the overall structure as well?
Yeah, there are actually like a couple of really cool gamified solutions that we've built, and I will tell a little bit more about it. We didn't tell it anywhere else, so this is the episode that we'll be telling about it. So,
okay.
Basically, Hello Launch is in some sort basically like any other launchpad that you would see. Okay, you have more Hello tokens. The higher tier you get, the more you lock, the bigger the allocation or the lower the price is. So that is a pretty simple one, right? Another thing, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing these Killer Whale live sessions. So a project will go into the Launchpad. They will start pitching to the whales, and the whales will say, "Well, I will invest or I won't invest," right? So with that, you have confirmation bias of one of the KOLs saying, "Okay, I want to go in." So one of the things that will allow you to do is to say, "Well, I might not make it to this Killer Whales live session, but if I'm a big fan of Ran Neuner, and Ran is going to invest, I want to auto invest. So if Ran invests, I want to invest."
It's copy trading almost.
It's almost like copy trading, and it can be a lot of fun, right? So, these types of things were really like very far advanced with how we can gamify and make this more appealing. So yeah, on the Launchpad, these are one or two of these mechanisms that are really unique and different from what others are doing.
Really cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and it's super interesting indeed, and I think super smart. I mean, you once you have the platform with all the viewers and the projects together, then obviously all these other things like Launchpad, incubate type of, it makes sense, right? It's obvious next step. So it's good to see you guys are doing this. For season 2, you already mentioned a couple of names. Obviously, you've teased. I think, are all the whales already known, or is it still somewhere in the?
Yeah. We released the whole lineup. So we added a couple of new names. So we've added Thread Guy as the host. So nice. Thread Guy, we've done some really cool stuff with him, almost like video clip style type of stuff. He's also the narrator, so the voiceover. So he will talk about what is happening through the viewer. So that's pretty cool. We've when we started the show, one of the first companies to sign up and believe in us was CoinMarketCap. And it was always like a gray signature, right? So they said, "You can shop us," but we didn't sign a contract yet. We developed the IP, we developed the show, we brought it on air. And this season, second season, they said, "We believe so much in this project, we'll be coming on to the show as a whale." So the CMO of CoinMarketCap is coming on as a whale, deeply involved. You don't understand how much data CoinMarketCap has and how much leverage. So it's super interesting to see his opinion and his point of view, Jonathan. We've added Cryptosaurus, Judge Tung, known Bitcoin bull, has a different audience than the other whales. Also has a very strong opinion, which is very interesting, and sometimes clashes in a new way with the other whales. So this will be fun as well. And then the last but not least, we have Mika. Mika is an up-and-coming content creator, has exponentially grown, really brings his own vibe and a new demographic into the show. And they are joined by the existing whales, Mario Fall, Altcoin Daily, Crypto NDO, Yevgeny, Gracie Chan from BitGat, Ran Neuner, and a lot of other different people that we've seen in season 1.
Gonna be a banger again.
Nice. Looking forward. When is it going live? Because it's going live on Apple TV and Amazon Prime. You mentioned, right?
Yeah, that is the minimum. There will also be Google Play. There will be Tubi, and there might even be some open net broadcasting this year. So might be something like additional reach. So that is cool. But what we'll be doing is we'll be launching the first episode on Twitter, on X, so everybody can watch it. everybody can form their opinions. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna cry. We're gonna root for some people, and maybe something crazy is gonna happen. Let's see.
Oh.
And
I know actually, yeah, sorry to interrupt, Paul, but I know actually last time indeed when the first show went live, I don't know if you guys also did it first on Twitter, the first episode, but that also the whole space was, talking about it. It was like, so yeah, you have these days, right? That you have a day or like 2 or 3 days that like a specific, news or like narrative is playing along, and that was exactly what you guys had. There was so much, yeah, talking about it. A lot of people had their, well, as you said, their opinions, and yeah, it's just very interesting to see all these emotions happening. It's really just pure crypto, right? That's just what it is.
It's it kickstarts the algorithm, right? So I think that
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And one of these days was when we launched the trailer for the first time. I think the trailer got like 1.2 million views in like
crazy
12 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
And is there a date when this launches, or is it not yet announced?
We're 99.9% sure that the airing of episode 1 is March 6th.
Okay, so in a month from now. Nice.
Yeah,
nice. That's close. Well, we've been going for 45 minutes, and I think we got a clear idea who Sander is, who HelloLabs is, what Killerwhales is, and obviously what's coming to the show. And obviously, I think it's important for people that are listening and just having a quick look. We crossed over 13,000 people that clicked on the link, so there's a lot of people watching this. So that's very good. But it's also important that we talk about what we do as ReformDAO for Hello as a token, of course. And Reform is the market maker. So I'm shifting my question slightly to you, Jess, but Sander, obviously feel free to jump in at any time. But we have been the market maker for quite a while. When did we exactly start doing the market making for the Hello token?
Yeah, so, well, the token has been live for 3 years, but we are doing it now for 2 months. So it's not, well, let's say 2.5. So it's not in comparison to how long the token is live, it's not that long yet. But yeah, since the moment that we actually started, we got in contact. Me and Son actually met in Token 2049 in Singapore. So, that moment was, we met and we had a good conversation. Of course, yeah, we were both very hectic and busy. So we catched up afterwards and discussed all the specifics to get a deal going. And yeah, I think we're very happy to have HelloLabs on board as a project under our wing to support in terms of liquidity and make sure that all the requirements of the exchanges are met, but also to prepare it, of course, for the series that's coming up, especially when there's a lot of people getting interest in the token. You want it to be liquid enough so that it's not going to go up, down, all the way. That's, of course, what we as a market maker are going to take care of. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, because maybe we can talk people a little bit through this process, because I think it's always a bit hard to understand, but it's so important that the project, especially something like Hello that's launching a show like Killerwhales that gets so many eyes, indeed has strong market makers around their project to make sure everything goes fine when this insane demand comes onto their token. So I mean, words like spread and depth, can you talk us through what we're providing the Hello token from a market maker perspective?
Yeah, it's mainly, I think a lot of people who are watching the show are buying it just by pressing, a button. They just do market buy and they, don't even look like at what price they buy or what or how. And that's, of course, something that we want to, take care of and make sure that whenever they press that button, that it's not going to be a big wick, up, and then it's going to go back down again. So these people bought actually at 50% higher as that the price actually showed. So that's a very important thing that I especially think in this case is very important. That whenever a lot of retail people are going to be interested to have exposure to the token and actually buy it, that they also have a good experience, so not so that they would buy and that it just maybe moves the price if they have a specific amount in that they put in, and it moves the price with a maximum of an X percentage, or like 0.1%, just saying something, so that it's not overly reacting on what these people are actually buying or selling in that case. So I think that's very plain, how to explain that. Terms like spread and depth, it's more market making terms. But it all comes down to making the price more efficient and actually having less volatility, as to put it. And to just make it more give it a better trading experience for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think good to mention there's a lot of people that are watching might have been at the launch of a token, and they tried to buy in because they were bullish, but then by the time they pressed buy, the price was already almost doubled because it's flying like crazy because there's a lot of demand, and that always shows why it's so important to have a good market maker, because what they do, at least if the audience is bullish, the price will go up anyway, right? But I think having a big spread, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Jess, because obviously I'm not the tech guy on this side, but it makes sure that people at least know what they're buying into, know what the price that they want to pay, that they probably get that, and that there's not too much of a difference between the moment they press buy and the moment their order actually executes.
Yeah, you can see it like that. It's really to, as I said, right, it's you mentioned depth. So depth is like on both sides of the book. You have the buy orders and you have the sell orders, and you want to have, let's say, it's of course always comparable to like the market cap and like different other factors whereby you want to put a specific depth in the order book. But to have, for example, like 5,000 for the first 2% up and first 2% down, that's for example on BitGet also a requirement, but also something that we that we then do because we see that's also in line with, for example, the project as it is today. Whenever it starts growing, that's also an interesting thing. Of course, bigger, let's say people are going to be interested in actually buying it. So then, it has to also be more liquid. So you have to put that depth on the buy and on the sell side. You have to also put it higher. So it's really like a game of play whereby you want to provide enough depth for the traders / people that are actually willing to buy or sell the token.
Yeah, and it goes the other way around as well, as you mentioned, right? Because it's also when people start selling the token for whatever their reason is, it's not that one sell can kick the chart down extremely, right? That's also why the market maker comes in. It basically, creates that depth. So I think that's well explained. Sander, just curious from your side. I mean, you've been in the space for a while. You probably worked with different market makers before you started working with us already. I don't know the details, but I think you have multiple market makers on the token. That often happens. What is your experience so far with this? Have you seen it on your own token when there wasn't a market maker, or God forbid the market maker wasn't too good, that it actually had a drastic impact and that it hurt the token more than it helped, even though there was a lot of volatility or a lot of hype around it?
It's not an easy question to answer, right? But if you look at the impact of a market maker in the past, especially a couple of years ago, when you had different markets and different prices, it could happen that on one exchange the price would go down and another exchange the price would go up. So we'd have like a lot of movement around the token, etc., etc. All in all, that is good, but it doesn't help if larger sums are being bought or larger sums are being sold. So what we see now with Reform is that there is actually a really good balance in these books. There is enough depth there. But for us, what we really see with Reform is that it is a smooth onboarding. And that's what we're trying to achieve. People can come into the token, get out of the token really smoothly. We make sure that everything works. It is well, all the books are well maintained, and we also get that feedback from the exchanges. And if you look in the past, there would always be in these periods where a market maker wouldn't be doing their jobs, or it would become mandatory from an exchange, or an exchange will be looking to do it themselves, and it would trash the chart. And that is something you as a project or as a team, you can't manage that. There's no way to manage that or influence that. So when Jess and I met and Jess started explaining how Reform works, we were like, okay, this is actually a very interesting proposition, and also something that we really can endorse. So I will tell you right now, if any other market maker would have asked me to do the same thing, I would probably not have gotten onto a show. So no, this is all in all transparency. It's an obligation, but it also protects the holders to a big extent.
Yeah, and I think that's also really important, right? Also, I think since the moment that we've met up until now, the connection and like communication between us has also been very strong. And I think that's also what we as Reform are thinking is really important, to maintain a good relationship and even expand on, we do work on the market making. But yeah, as we also discussed, you guys are, of course, the marketing gurus in the space. So yeah, well, we're the market making gurus. So then we can really enhance each other as well there. Because yeah, we're Web3 native, we're builders, and we're in this all together. So I really, endorse that approach and really like also still, how we do things together.
All right. Well, there seems there's a clear outline for the next year, right? We make sure your token is as perfect as possible for all the hype, and you make sure we're the whales on the next show.
Yeah, it's an easy trade-off.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, with that, I think we have come to the end of the show. We're 55 minutes in, so yeah, we usually like to keep all the broadcasts and shows we do to around an hour to make sure people don't lose their interest. I want to thank you a lot, Sander, for showing up today, for taking the time. As you already said, if there was another company or another market maker, you probably wouldn't have come on the show. That's a compliment to us. We stand for transparency, and yeah, you being here shows indeed we can be transparent. We want to be transparent. So yeah, massive shout out to you for being here today and representing HelloLabs and Killerwhales, of course. Any final words, maybe a little promotion on the Killerwhales from your side before we round it off?
Yeah, 100%. So 2 things. Make sure you watch the first episode and let us know what you think about it. We're very much open to feedback, and I think we've built something that we as a Web3 community can be proud of. We can show it to our fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters and uncles and aunties. So yeah, open invitation to go watch. And the second thing, of course, is if you're a founder or you're into a project that you think is really good, and you think they deserve the chance to, get broadcasted on national television with the reach that we have, get them to apply to be on the show. We will love to speak to them and see what we can do together and support also that project. So yeah, open invitation, and let's make it a year to remember 2025.
Amazing. Thank you so
Nice
much
words.
once again. And thanks everyone for tuning in today. I mean, I see we crossed over 30,000 people that clicked on the show at least once during this hour. So, once it's always a snowball with these things. Once we're going, there's no stopping us. So it's good to see a lot of people have an interest in what you're doing and what we're doing for you, of course. If you're still listening, big shout out to you, of course. We're hosting these broadcasts from now on almost weekly because there's a lot of projects where we intend to be the market maker and make sure we can help those projects as well. We have another one coming up next week. A lot of details will be dropped following up to it. So make sure you put it in your agenda for next week, Thursday already. And with that said, also, of course, Jess, I need to thank you for showing up, for giving us the insights on the market making.
Anytime, man.
We started the broadcast journey over a year ago on the Reform account. We're still here. So yeah, things have been moving along. But yeah, with that said, I want to wish everyone a great rest of their day, and hopefully we see each other again next week on another broadcast of Reform. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you. See you.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Bye.